G'day and welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I've got another sort of addition to our little 22 long rifle mini PRS ELR series. What you're looking at in front of you is our rifle, the 22 that we've done most stuff with, and in its normal form, which you haven't seen it in. This is just a CZ452. It's in a Boyd stock. It's got a little rail on the bottom of it. The proper Atlas bipod. I've got a rail on the side and a torch on the side, and that's how this rifle normally looks. That's what it does. Pest control, rabbits or whatever it is, and nighttime sort of stuff. This clips on and off as to what I want to do with it, whether it's daytime or nighttime we're using it in. A little Tasco 3x9 mil-dot reticle in this little hunting scope on top here, and this is what it really normally shoots like. And it's also the one we've used for all the testing. It's also been on video a fair few times. This is shot out at 700 yards and 750 yards and 900 yards. We've got hits on steel with this little rifle. And it's performed really, really well. And probably, we're trying to do the maths on it. I record all sorts of stuff, but with this 22, to be truthful, I don't record how many rounds we've put through it. But it would have to be over 10,000 rounds have been through this little thing, and it's still working really well. Its only modification, well, it's obviously a different stock, being this little Boyd thumbhole stock. Very nice little rimfire stocks. The only modification that's actually got done to it is the trigger. I've messed with the spring. It's down at just over 1.5 pounds, so it's actually 1 3/4 pounds is the way of the trigger pressure. But that's it, and it functions flawlessly for us, does everything really well. I was sort of considering whether we brought this into it. Yes, this is shot further than our our little series that we're doing. And what you'd normally have seen on this was a cheap ZOS Chinese scope with the adjustable rings and that sort of stuff that I quite commonly set them up in. But it was a scope that would really, I had to sort of work it to where it was, work out where things were and adjust it to get it on. Wasn't really good in the way of its dialing. And the glass is actually decent quality in that giant scope that sits on top of here, but it's not really something up to this sort of competition. So what I did get the opportunity to look at was this little scope here, which is the March F, which is it's a 3-24. So yeah, 3-24. It's an 8 times first focal plane. I'll give you an image of what the reticle looks like in it. 42 objective. It's a great little scope. 100 minutes of elevation. It's an MOA scope. And it was one that the March dealer over in Australia said, listen, for your 22 series, this would be something that would suit on that sort of stuff. It's a mid-level cost sort of scope, so it is still a good scope. In the way of it's still decent sort of money for one of these scopes. But listen, it's sort of worth it. It's a pretty damn good scope. I really enjoyed using it. Nice reticle in it, and both me and Sam enjoyed using it. But that's really what I was running through the paces.
Good shot. Good hit. Got him. Good hit.
Yep, good, didn't it?
Yep, despite the grass.
Beautiful, nice whack.
Few weeds there.
Yeah, well, they're big ones, easy to get around.
Oh,
Just
got
nicked him. I think you're going to the left edge.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah,
And I
good
suppose
one.
the other thing I was doing for people who want to mess around and want to do this sort of thing, I'm all for going to buying the new and the best of and all that sort of stuff. But there's people who don't have those budgets, and what can they do? Well, this is the CZ452, which I really like in the way of a 22 side of things. But 10,000 rounds, like I said. And listen, it might be as little as 8,000, it might be as much as 15,000. Really don't have the maths on it. We've just recently run at least another 6,000 rounds through it with our testing on our target, on that little target, and running boxes, bricks and bricks of this ammo here, which is the CCI 22 long rifle in the standard velocity. And we've also run a fair few of these velocitors, the high velocity, high power through there. Shot really well. It's just is what it is. I think this was just a little varmint rifle, so it's not a heavy barrel, but it was something, and I can't even tell you when you bought it. It would have been over 10 years ago is how long we've had it.
Radio. Good to go.
But
Yep.
that's what I want to talk about the
There you
rifle.
go.
And how did it go? Well, listen, it's probably not quite as nice as shooting the new heavy barrels in some of the ones that we've shot recently, but still shot really well, still performed really well. Had a bit of a gusty, weird day. We thought it was going to be low on wind, but it was actually a bit more blustery.
actually, I think you
And the
hit on
wind
the
was
frame on the
freezing.
left.
Well, freezing for our neck of the woods
Yeah.
anyway. It was a sunny day, but
Got
the
it.
wind
So number
was
3.
right down in the 10 degrees, just below 10 degrees actually in the way of Celsius,
Number
back
4.
down in
Good shot.
the 40 degrees in the way of Fahrenheit. So it was properly chilly and cold. And it was a bit blustery around the place, but so a little challenge,
Yeah,
but
so
still shot really
number
well. And you'll
5,
see
you're
how it
right.
actually performed. Both the closer targets went well, very hard with our
I don't know where it
100-yard
went.
target to
Think to the
pick
right.
which way the wind goes. But you see for both of us it performed nicely on that score.
Got him.
Just like that.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty easy. Okay, well, your shot.
Radio. Okay. Good to go. Left, 9 o'clock, so quarter of a target left. Got him. Top left corner, got him.
Okay.
Hit. Top left corner.
With that,
Just next to his buddy. Oh, just top bottom right corner.
I held a little bit further to the right and a little bit lower,
Yeah, okay.
and I got that result.
Hit. Got the chain. Hit on the chain.
Hit him, beautiful.
Out
can't
at
tell you
our
where.
263-yard
Again.
target on that 6-inch disc out there.
That's
I
right. So
performed the
centre
same bit of
hole's
magic I
open
did
up.
last time. I managed to knock that little target off the
just right,
chain.
but he was well
So
looking
that was
curiously.
interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And Sam got a swinging target to shoot
Just
at as
right.
well. So I did. I knocked it off. I stopped the video at that point, and we shot a few
Got him
more.
again,
Thinking we were
beautiful.
going to go and reset. And thought, listen, no, it worked last
Yep.
time. Let's see. So then Sam went on and hit it several times
And
as well
again,
with
I
the
think that hit
target
on the
swinging around like
right
crazy.
edge.
So
If I'm really not
as
sure,
said,
there's
this
just too
performs
much
really
room
well,
there now.
and that was using the CCI
That's got a good swing going.
standard velocity ammunition. And then we swapped over to, well, I should say, all that was using this little March F scope, and worked really nicely like that.
It is, as always, this being a standard stock and not having an adjustable length of pull, there is always a compromise that I set up when I set up for both of us to shoot. Sam being short, me being tall, means that I largely, in this sort of situation, I try and do a little bit the right thing. I set it up so I have to push the rifle a little bit forward to get a full picture and make it to where Sam's not trying to stretch her neck out so much to try and use the scope. So it was a set up a little bit more to suit Sam, but it's still, being the 22, it's not too much trouble to get around that. But dialed straight on, just missed the target. So, you know, in the way of verifying accuracy of dialing, really good. Really like the reticle, that little scope as well, worked really nicely. And then once you went through that process, then we're on to the 510 yard target. So once again, we're talking that 6-inch disc, 510 yards, and that performed, that dialed on to where a first shot, which I don't actually have on the video, the first shot was like 4 targets low, which is probably more speed in the rifle. It could be the conditions. It is, like I said, 10,000 rounds, that type of thing. So maybe there's a little bit of loss of speed, but I haven't thrown at it to see where it's at. But I think it was about 4 targets low, wound onto it, and then all over the place the wind. But you see what our last little session looked like there. That was really shooting really accurately. So old, not worn out, but old 22 in the CC452. Good scope on there, nice and easy to dial on, nice little dot in the middle of that reticle I was able to use properly and that sort of stuff, so it's really able to hold on the target nicely, so it was nice to do it like that. First focal plane in this scope, which has the, and I will do a full review on that scope actually, because I really like the reticle they put in there. It's good glass, all the March stuff is. It's nice and it tracks really well, so that's really good as well. But the nice feature I found with it is that on full power, even though the reticle, being a first focal plane, does start to get a bit heavier, they've got nice little space in the middle with a nice little centre dot, which gives you really good vision when you're aiming on that side of things. And backed right back down at 3 power, the reticle does become too small. You know, the fine side of it becomes too small to really use. But the way they've designed the outside, with the nice big pointers on the outside of the reticle, means that come right down to that power, you really do have a good centre reference in that scope to where you can ignore the finer details and go with just using your big crosshairs for your fast action stuff and your hunting stuff, to where really, if it was my scope, and this is just a lone scope by the way, we're just looking at it, but it really potentially could replace this little Tasco scope to do both things with it. So I like the way they designed that. It's a good scope to use. Thank you very much, Stuart, for letting us have a play with it. And yeah, this little rifle, it's probably a little bit famous, I suppose, in the shots that it's done. This is it in its dressed form and what it really lives like, what its life really is and where it does all its work. But it certainly does the right thing for us. The little CZ does really well. And if you have an old one, then it is the type of thing that you totally can go and play this little game. And start to experience some of the fun and the challenge and the frustration sometimes of trying to shoot a really long way with the 22. As said, the long stuff, I've mentioned a few times previously, I use the CCI Velociter to get out that 500 yards. It really does have a fair bit more whack to it. Both of these are the 40 grain projectiles, so they both carry the same, but starting at the 1435, I think it is. Yeah, 1435 feet per second really does make a lot of difference in how much energy is out there and how much elevation it takes to get onto target. Anyway, guys, that was just a quick one to go through with our little hunting rig. It performed really well, really like it. Hope you liked it. Leave any questions or comments in the comment section below the video. And thanks for checking in on us. We'll catch you next time.